So update 14 has dropped for Hell Let Loose, and today I streamed it for about 6 hours, and I wanted to give you guys my initial impressions of the update. I'm going to go through the British faction, their weapons and other details about them, then the two maps, then other changes that the update has brought in, such as the highly controversial speed changes. I will go through and actually do a full, more like review video once I've put more time into update 14. So to start with, the British. Generally, the weapons are pretty solid. Their damage output is pretty much the same as every other faction's damage in that weapon class. If you didn't know, the rifles like the semi-autos and the bolt action rifles, one hit kill up to 200 meters, 2 shots after that. SMGs are 2 shots up to 75 meters, 3 shots after that. Damage is reduced if you hit people in the legs, so that will explain why some of your shots will not do as much damage. But yeah, generally they're solid. But there are some issues we need to talk about here. So with the Lee Enfield 4 and 5, I haven't used the P14 to be honest, which is the default rifle loadout. But with these two, the iron sights, they're just messed up. So generally, ADS some of it looks fine. But when you start to strafe left and right, you get a lot of like sway or like a different movement between the rear sight and the front sight, which you would probably expect when using a rifle in real life. I've never shot a rifle, I've only ever used a pump shotgun and a double barrel like over under hunting shotgun. But when you compare these two weapons to the Kar 98 and the M1, you can see how different and well bad they are compared to these two rifles. There's so much extra sway between the front and rear sight compared to these other two weapons. I know the Kar 98 is more like a middle on the front sight, but it's so much extra sway, which means that when you pretty much strafe using those two Lee Enfields, it's really bad. I think they need to adjust that a bit with these two weapons, and possibly the P14 if it operates like that as well. The same issue is with the Bren gun. There's a lot of movement between the two sights, which makes it near impossible to use when you're strafing left and right. Again, comparing this to the STG, there's nearly like no movement between the sights. I think the Bren gun needs to have its like sight movement, we should say, looked at. It's just not good to use unless really you're kind of stationary. Also, I think the Sten gun just is off. Like something never felt right about it, so I just started shooting at some rocks, and it looks like that it shoots off to the left very slightly. If I slow down this footage, it just doesn't look like it's shooting directly in the like the center or the tip of the center of the point, if I'm making sense, of the iron sights. It's like it's shooting off to the left, so that needs to be adjusted. I haven't used the Piat yet. I will put a lot of time into it, and I will make a guide for using the Piat and hitting targets at certain ranges, so subscribe if you want to get that Piat guide when it gets released. So far, the British weapons, I'd have to say my favourite is the sniper rifle, but I generally love sniper rifles, and I had a really great game on Alamein with the sniper rifle, which I will be making a gameplay video of that, and the Lanchester SMG. Now, I thought I would just prefer using the Sten Gun over the Lanchester, but because of the like iffy sights or just how the Sten just doesn't feel right at the moment, the Lanchester just feels so much better, and it just generally does have much better iron sights. The Lanchester is probably my favourite non-sniper weapon at the moment. And let's talk about the inclusion of the Lanchester, which is a bit controversial because it really wasn't used by the British Army at all. I think it was mainly used by the Navy, but I think they've put the Lanchester in instead of, really, this should be the Tommy gun that the British used, which is different to the American version that they used. It was like an earlier model, but I think they've just done the Lanchester because really we've already got a Thompson. It would have to operate exactly the same as the current Thompson, so I think they've done that just to give it a bit more variation. But really, they could have used something like the Owen gun that the Australians used, because while the British didn't use that, it was a weapon that was sort of on the front lines but used by the Australians, and I hope we do get the Owen gun down the line. It's also a little bit odd that the P14 Lee Enfield is used quite a lot with the loadouts. It is the default rifleman loadout, and I think the only reason they've really done this is to give you a sense of progression when ranking up, say, the rifleman role. You start with that 5-round bolt action P14, then you can get the 10-round Lee Enfield number 4 Mark 1. I think that's probably the only reason why they've done it. I also think the Sten is underused throughout the entire infantry loadouts. There's only 2 infantry kits that actually get the Sten Gun. I don't get it. I think the Sten Gun should be in more loadouts. I think the Lanchester's probably a bit overused. Get the Sten in there more, to be honest. It's also a bit surprising that but also not surprising actually, that the Bren's bipod isn't usable. It's kind of like the FG42, where the FG42 has a bipod, but you can't use it. So the Bren gun is basically a BAR or STG. That's just what it is. And I think that they would have done that because really they don't have an equivalent to a BAR or STG 44, or like a non-bipod automatic weapon. And since we're getting the Lewis gun, that is their main bipod MG in Hell Let Loose, not the Bren gun. I wonder if they would add in like a bipod version for the MG roll down the line. Maybe, maybe not. But also I would have liked an extra camo option for the British. They do get just their sort of general normal uniform they use throughout World War II. But really, since Alamein is in the game, they should have their desert one with the shorts. I want to wear shorts. Just let me wear shorts, goddammit. Now let's talk about Driel, and really it's a solid map. Many people thought this was going to be Remagen 2.0 because there's a bridge in the middle, but you can pretty much cross the river at a lot of different points because it's got waist high water. You can just walk through it, and there's some extra bits to get across the river a little bit quicker on either side of the map. You can climb onto the boats or just run across a little bit of land. So it isn't Remagen 2.0. And with the sunset effect that the map has, it does look really nice. It is quite an open map. It reminds me a little bit of just the fields in the other Western Front maps. But there are a lot of sneaky ways to get through the fields. There's a lot of ditches separating the fields, so it does work quite well. And I enjoyed this map a lot more than I thought I would. And I would be happy to have this in a permanent server rotation on any server that I was playing on. Also, the performance of the map was fine. I was playing it on max settings and I didn't have any hitches or stutters at all. Now, El Alamein, probably the most anticipated map for this update. And performance-wise, it's really mixed. There is a lot of stutters in El Alamein. It's pretty much Stuttergrad 2.0, but in some areas there's more stutters compared to other areas, or some areas there's no stutters at all. It's a bit odd. I hope this map gets optimized or fixed, we should say, quickly. I don't want it to be like Stalingrad where it stays stuttery for a really long time. There is a big mix of large open areas and some smaller dense urban areas, and I gotta say I do really like the map. It is a bit of a sniper's dream with the just how open it is. You can get in a really good position and get loads of good shots. I think tankers would really enjoy it as well because of the same reasons. Same with machine gunners, but machine gunners do sort of stand out a bit more, especially with all the noise they make. And with these large open areas, it can be frustrating playing as infantry, just constantly getting taken out. You need a lot of smoke cover, and I think artillery smoke would be really good in this map. Just dump artillery smoke on the enemy to cover what they can see. I think that would be a really good thing to do. But in the smaller sort of dense urban areas, you get a lot of solid good combat, especially in the airfield section. I really like the airfield. That's a really sort of unique area. I think the map generally is really unique for Hell Let Loose at the moment, just simply because of how it looks. All the buildings are just so different compared to every other map in the game. It's really good, and I would like to see this in a permanent server rotation as well. I really like it. But on to the other changes, and let's start with the more controversial one, the sprint changes. So we've had a 15% speed increase to sprinting and a 5% increase to crouch sprinting. And one of the other more noticeable things is just how frequently you hear your feet. Like when you're sprinting along, the amount of like footsteps you make is more than what it used to be. Now, generally, I think the speed increase is okay. There's a lot of people I've seen that really don't like the speed increase. Really just need to adjust how far to lead your shots now when people are running like left to right in front of you. Then people are saying it's more like Call of Duty or Battlefield now with these speed changes. Now, I can't play Call of Duty. I don't own it. I could boot up Warzone or reinstall it, but I'm not going to infect my PC with that. I've already infected it with Battlefield 2042, which I play every now and then as like a palate cleanser or just something to chill out to. So what I've done is ran 100 meters in Hell Let Loose and in Battlefield 2042, and let's just compare these side by side. I haven't actually looked at the results yet. I'm just recording this bit in the video, and now I'm going to put footage on screen and let's see how they compare. So that was about 5 seconds slower, really. 5 seconds to run. It was 22 meters left when 2042 had finished its 100 meter sprint. And that was just a normal 2042 100 meter sprint, not the tactical sprint or double sprint. And I think having 5 seconds to run about 20 meters, I think that's fine, really. It's just an adjustment players are going to have to do. This isn't the first time that the speed has changed in Hell Let Loose. And yeah, saying it's like 2042, nah, it's not. I used the Nonverbal Tool just a little bit just to show people in the stream chat what it looks like. I think for people that don't have a microphone, it's only really going to be usable if the people you're playing with actually have their chat shown in the top left. I have my chat turned off because I use a microphone. The people I need to speak to in my squad or locally or through command chat, we're going to be using microphones. So I'm not going to see what they're going to say. It does show an icon like on your screen though, briefly, to what they're like pinging or trying to get your attention to look at, but it's only briefly. So I don't think this is like a really good like fix, I guess you could say. If you don't have a microphone, I still highly recommend getting a microphone for Hell Let Loose. The dive to prone, it's nice, but it does need some adjustments. The thing that needs to be adjusted is that when you dive down, you can very quickly go to standing or crouching like as soon as you pretty much hit the ground. So you can sprint, dive, stand up, and then pretty much dive again. You need to add in like a small delay after you dive to prone before you can crouch or stand up. Doing that will sort of fix this little issue, but generally dive to prone is good. Also, the step height improvements, what this is making it so you won't get stuck on little rocks or twigs and stuff like that when running along. The main culprit for this sort of map are forest maps, and well, haven't played like Gun or Hill 400 yet because we've all been playing the new maps. But on these two new maps, I did notice myself getting stuck a lot on little things, mainly like on Drill. There's these fences that have like a small like diagonal bit in them which you're meant to be able to run across, but you get stuck on it. I think they probably need to re-look at the improvements they've put in and adjust it a little bit more. And lastly, let's just quickly talk about the historical inaccuracies of this update. Now, the original plan, Black Matter, they've made what we've played today. They've made everything in Update 14. Team 17 haven't made it. Black Matter made it, and they had their own plan. Originally, they was going to do a Commonwealth expansion, not just a British. So their plan really wasn't like full accuracy when it comes to historical detail. That's Team 17's plan, and now they can put their plan into place because they've just taken over. Originally, they were going to be taken over like in June, I think. So now I think as more updates come out, I think we're going to start to see these historical updates to maps, so we can only use the correct weapons, equipment and vehicles that were actually like present in the battles, but that we're actually playing on. And that will include updates to Driel and El Alamein. I will be making a video going over every single map in the game to actually sort of try and figure out what needs to change to make them accurate. I hope that when I actually make this video that everything I say is accurate, but I guess we'll see. I'll probably get like destroyed in the comment section for that video when I make it, but stay tuned for that video because it will be coming out. So let me know what you initially think of update 14 down in the comments below. Like I said, I will do like a more of an in-depth review video down the line. Give this video a like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, subscribe for more, and thank you for watching.